Hi, I'm Brad Duncan with Raypak, coming to you through Poolman University. I'd like to talk to you for a minute about the Raypak Avia gas burning heater. Avia is our smaller footprint heater, so it's going to be considerably smaller than what you may be accustomed to out of a Raypak device. High quality piece of equipment that differentiates itself considerably from other similar sized products. When I talk about a smaller size, I'm talking about a footprint that's roughly 2 by 2 square on the pad, stands just about 2.5 feet tall. So considerably smaller than the Raypak Digital. All right. This is also a drop-in replacement for some similarly sized products out there. By that, I mean the plumbing lines up perfectly. The gas line on the other side will also line up perfectly, and your venting will line up perfectly with these other products as well. It is a downward firing device. So our fuel is blown downward across the heat exchanger where it is ignited by a direct spark ignition. Now this differentiates itself from other similar sized products by the fact that it does not have a hot surface igniter. It does not have a pilot assembly. It just has what would be something like a spark plug that fires for 4 seconds and then looks for flame. If it doesn't find the flame, it will start the whole process over again. One other thing that's available as an upgrade is our heavy duty model that contains our NiTek heat exchanger. Now NiTek is what makes it the heavy duty model. In the swimming pool industry, when we heat water by running the swimming pool water through pipes and then burning a fire, above or below those pipes to heat the pipes, and then the water takes that heat back to the pool. Now, these pipes are typically made of copper. Copper is a metal to use for a heat exchanger. It absorbs heat well. It releases heat well to the water. The biggest problem that we have with copper is that it's soft. So copper is a pretty soft metal, and swimming pool water is typically pretty harsh, or much harsher than the domestic water that you have in your home. So the industry went to something called cupronickel as a heavier duty device. Now cupronickel is they take copper and they add nickel to it in the smelting process to make an alloy. And by the way, this is the same way we make stainless steel. We're adding nickel to copper instead of steel in this case. Now that's great. It makes it harder. It does what it's supposed to do. The problem is, because it's harder, you lose some of the efficiency, perhaps up to 2%. What if, instead of putting that nickel in the copper, we put it on the copper? We coat the entire heat exchanger in the tubes, outside the tubes, the fins, the tube sheets, everything is coated with nickel. Okay. This, we found, gives us 900% more nickel, in the areas that are critical where the water makes contact with the heat exchanger. It also makes it more efficient. It gives you that 2% efficiency back. So we're 300% more corrosion resistant than standard copper, 200% more erosion resistant than cupronickel, and 50% less likely to form scale inside the tubes, simply because it's too slick for the scale to grab onto. This is something that's not available on any other product on the market. This heater further differentiates itself given that it has dual temperature sensors. Other heaters on the market have one incoming sensor. This tells you the temperature of the water coming in and lets the heater know whether or not it should fire. Okay, well, we still have that, but we've added an exit temp sensor. So we're measuring the temperature of the water coming and going, and the board in the heater is measuring the difference between those two temperatures to determine things like whether or not the flow through the heat exchanger is correct, whether it's moving too quickly or too slowly. It can also do things like figure out, given the amount of energy over time, it can figure out approximately how big your swimming pool is. All right. Your heater can estimate the gallonage in your swimming pool. Using that information, it can further determine how long it's going to take your heater to get that water temperature up to the temperature that you set the heater. All right? Gallonage and the amount of time it takes to heat available at your fingertips. We don't know of anybody else who does this. The Protect Shield is another device that's available on any residential size Raypak swimming pool heater. This is a built-in standard piece of equipment that helps to mitigate the effects of damage due to ionic migration within the swimming pool itself. I mean, typically what you might find is anytime you put two different metals in water, any water, you create a battery. You create a small amount of DC voltage flowing back and forth between these two metals. And the less noble of the two metals will deteriorate at a faster rate. This is called the sacrificial anode. What if we put an anode in it from the start, from the factory, that is even lower on the nobility scale than what you might commonly find in a swimming pool? And this is what we've done with the Protect Shield. This comes standard on both the Avia and the digital. And finally, this heater is Wi-Fi enabled. There is currently no other heater on the market that is Wi-Fi enabled. This is not an upgrade. This is standard. So when you set this heater down and wire it up, it immediately begins to look for a signal. You will use a cell phone to tell the heater what the Wi-Fi signal information is, which Wi-Fi and what the password is. It will then log itself on, and you can set this up to send you messages when there is a failure. You can program the heater to turn on and off at different times of the day. You can set temperatures. You can flip between pool and spa. All of this can be done from your phone or any internet-enabled device. This is just a quick version of what we think is the best parts of this particular heater. I think you can look into it a little bit more on our website at raypak.com. We're happy to answer any questions you might have. I hope you'll stick with us and maybe learn some more about it as well. Thanks for stopping by.